Hello and welcome to DriftTV. I'm your host Jesse McDonald and it's an absolute pleasure to have your company. I'll be with you over the course of the show. During the show we have drifting highlights from Queensland Raceway, Stanthorpe, Archerfield, some Drift All-Stars from the Europe and some short clips from Gympie Off-Road Short Course and Power Cruise Night. In Tech Talk, Kris Frome talks hints and tips about improving your car and your driving. In Driver DNA, we meet with international FD driver Forrset Wang, world time attack winner Michael Rosenbalt, world-class drifters Luke Fink, Josh Boettcher, Kris Frome, ADGP winner Rob White, our Hollywood Mad Max driver and drifter Eugene Artisan, Speedway champion Shane Heathcote, and we can't forget our special guest Red Bull V8 supercar driver Shane Van Gisbergen. So there's plenty of action to keep you entertained and strapped down. It's that time of the show where we must crack on with it. I'm Jesse McDonald and you're watching DriftTV.
What do I drive? Well, the list is endless, to be honest. I do drive an S13 myself. That's in the build at the present time. We're getting a LS conversion put into it. Try and make it a little bit more reliable. LS the world. But at the present time, I'm driving Alan Roots' S13 with an LS in it. Great car, pretty much exactly the same what I'm used to. So, but yeah, no, I generally get to have a drive of everything, I guess. So I'm kind of lucky.
So I drive at home. I don't even know. I have so many cars. It's hard to say. So like day to day, errand runner is a Honda Fit. Good little grocery getter. Seats fold down. I can fit a ton of tires in the back of that thing. It actually made it to every round at FD for the past 2 years. It's been our pit support it's made it all over the country. It's even gone to Canada, so it's been international. My street play car is a S14, 1J swapped. It's basically an FD car in a street car's clothes. So it's Wisefab front to back, stance, XR3 reservoir coilovers. The 1JZ is pushing 550 at the wheels, more than enough to get some smaller tires spinning in, fourth gear, no problem. So that car's a blast to drive, but I don't drive it much because it's almost like you're kind of asking for trouble. I drive that and it's like such a temptation to just drift all the time because it is so much fun. So I only limit myself to driving that like once or twice a month, I just take it easy, drive the Honda around, keeps me out of trouble, won't try to race anyone, won't try to do any drifts, saves money, it's good on fuel. I also have a BMW E90 M3 that I've been playing with. It's I'm not really going to build it for drift. It's more of like a grip car. It's got Stance XR3 coilovers on it as well. It's got a Vortex supercharger on it, V8, high revving V8. Definitely love the sound of it. The feel of it's really good.
As far as drifting, I have an S14 here in Australia that I use for demos and things like that, which is well modified power, all decked out with an Origin Lab Australia body kit. So it's definitely a good bit of gear, full comp spec. I have this beautiful machine over here, the R31 Skyline that we've just picked up to use as a, essentially the S14 uses a lot of tyres. So the R31 is low powered, reasonably light, and I don't have to care about it so much. So I'll use that to do tandem practice and stuff, and then my wife, who drifts as well, will be using this to get her tandem practice in. And then overseas I'll pretty much drift whatever is thrown at me, left-hand drive, right-hand drive. I've drifted anything from Lamborghinis through to old Corollas, you name it. But more recently, I'm off to Abu Dhabi, to drive an E46 M3 with a M5 V10 stuffed into it. So that's a 500 plus horsepower screaming V10, which is going to be an absolute blast. And driving that on the Abu Dhabi Yas Marina F1 circuit, which again is just pretty amazing that drifting's going to be on an F1 circuit.
You're watching DriftTV.
Sometimes different things can happen with you and your car, and you have to live with the car, so only it should be worked out.
One of the main things is the adrenaline buzz you get from drifting. It's just incredible and undescribable unless you've done it yourself.
You can feel that sound and everything goes up to all your body, and you can put it any gear you want and the car is just flying. I really like to push it to the limits, chase the opponents. It's an experience, like something you need to feel inside your soul, inside yourself, and that's why I do drifting.
Today on Tech Talk, I'm going to talk about something that's very important on a drift car, and that's keeping it cool. We push these cars to the absolute limit as far as the motor's capabilities and revving them as hard as you can. So what happens is the byproduct of that is the car gets too hot. So in a basic car, when you're learning to drive or it's still a street vehicle, we have aluminium radiators that you can put in the vehicle which improve the cooling efficiency. Make sure you always get a good shroud and your fan to make sure you're always going to get the air drawn through that radiator and keep the car as cool as possible. Now when you go up to that next level and your car, and like with mine, I've put a lot of heat out the front with big turbos and things like that, we've decided to put the radiator in the boot. Now two advantages for this: it allows us to actually have a larger radiator which carries more water and makes it easier to keep it cool because there's more lines running through the actual vehicle. But another part of it is that it puts a lot of weight over the back tires and helps balance the vehicle. So by having this weight back here gives us more grip and gives us more drivability when we're actually drifting as well.
Welcome back. Hope you're enjoying what you're seeing, and there's plenty more to come. I'm Jesse McDonald, and this is DriftTV.
You're watching DriftTV.
The evolution of my car I've currently got, it's in general, it's exactly what it was when we first built it. We built a 370Z with a NASCAR motor and a Hollinger gearbox, so it hasn't really evolved in a general way. It's evolved a lot in a very technical way, small things, very expensive things that not a lot of people would understand, but we have certainly done a lot to make this car as competitive as it is. It's been rebuilt twice. There was a lot of when it came out, there was definitely not smooth sailing. It's definitely not been smooth sailing the whole way of this car. It's taken a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of learning. It's all new. It's not an S chassis or an R chassis or anything like that, where a lot of people have a lot of people to bounce off ideas. We're the only person running a NASCAR motor. We're the only person running a 370Z chassis. With gathering data, I think we're probably guilty of not doing enough. A lot of guys are very, you see a lot of guys, especially the father-son teams, you always see the dad running around with a clipboard or something and writing stuff down. I always look and go, what are they doing? Like, seriously, what can you see? But I can understand that's a lot enjoyable for that person. I can understand if that's the way they're engineered. I can see how they would find gathering data is cool, but I'm kind of street, we just sort of run with what we got. And if it's too slippery, we'll just track the tyres, pressure's down. I see a lot of guys that have a bump in the rear and they've bent something slightly and they can't drive it. I'm not going to name names for Bo Yates, but he, his car, he can't drive it if it's not perfect. Where, I don't know, we just kind of just wing it out and hope for the best. And I don't know if that's hindered me or helped me in the way, I don't know. But gathering data for us is being very limited. When we first set up the car, it was playing with springs rates for a little bit, but as we haven't changed the springs in a year and a half now, so I think they're pretty good and we just do what we can.
So what do I drive? My daily car is just a Toyota 4-drive, Lummy 4B. Gets the job done. Me 32 GTST, trusty car here with a 6-litre LS engine, full package out of a Commodore. It's been going for 3-4 years. Never had a DNF, super reliable, love it. Plenty of torque. And as for practice car, I got my little S13 beater, bit of a missile, standard SR20. Every panel's got a ding in it. That's probably my favourite car.
Currently at the moment in my entire career I've driven an R34 Skyline. It's had a lot of evolution and changes over the year, but that's our main primary car because we've done so much research and development on it and testing and setup that we're comfortable with that chassis now.
inside the vehicle at all times.
You're watching DriftTV.
So what do I drive? This is it right here. I do have two cars still. I have a S13 Cell80, or S15 front 180, which has my 500 horsepower SR20 in it, which is an absolute weapon of a motor for what it is. But this is the big girl. It's a 7.2 litre or 434 cubic inch V8 race motor, which is thanks to Boettcher race parts. So that's from these guys here. It's a speedway based motor. That motor was meant for a late model type of speedway car. And my grandfather Ian was kind enough to let me use it in my ridiculous Nissan S15. So this car, I've had it as an SR20 for a little while, and now with the 7.2 litre V8 in it, it's a weapon. We use the Wise Fab in the front to give it heaps of lock. A lot of playing around in the rear end of the car regarding grip to make the car as quick as we can. We've put the radiator in the back as well. That was a big change before the 2015-16 season. We did a full rebuild of the car. Already had the V8 in it, but just, I guess, perfected everything we could in the car. And getting that rear weight there was a big part of being successful in that 2015-16 season. And yeah, it's an animal. It's 700 horsepower at the tyres. And it's got power everywhere. One of the facts that I think is the coolest about this motor is it's got 450 horsepower at 4,500 RPM. So crazy power from a very low range. So changing gears isn't that important all the time, this thing. Sometimes you can get held up and just keep using the same gear even though the revs are low. You just put your foot down and it's awesome. Rarely do you clutch kick this thing. You basically never do. You can sort of do a clutch kick by flipping the throttle with this thing. So it loves high speed. I have done some just second gear, low speed tracks, and it doesn't really like doing that. It works, but it's not nice on the gear. But at high speed, we did Eastern Creek World Time Attack last year, and that was 160k an hour entry, and it's just awesome at that sort of speed. This thing, it loves the high speed, and it revs to 8,500 RPM. So.
Who do I enjoy battling? Probably my favourite guy is Rob White. He's a good mate, and we really, when we get out there, we don't really care too much about stuff, so we really put it on the line, bit of rubbing, whatever. At the end of the day, we come out and we're both stoked about whatever happens, so. And it's always good beating him, so if you get one up on him, it's so much sweeter. But yeah, he's a good guy. Love battling him. Pretty much all the Queensland guys I love going against. They're all great guys and super competitive. For the Australian drifting scene.
You're watching DriftTV.
Welcome back, and it's that time of the show again where we say goodbye. And remember to visit www.drifttv.com.au. Have a look around our site where we have highlights of drifting, and as well visit our shop where we have t-shirts and some caps you can get and style out. Well, that's all we have for you tonight. It was a pleasure having your company. I'm Jesse McDonald, and this is Drift TV.
Yeah, I might need a push.